Live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. US President Trump expands exemptions from Canada and Mexico tariffs. Second rollback in 2 days on imports from America's two biggest trade partners. European Central Bank cuts interest rates again amid threat of trade war with US. ECB chief notes huge uncertainty ahead. US-Ukraine talks will be held in Saudi Arabia next week to discuss peace plans. Zelensky expresses hope that talks will be meaningful. Elon Musk's SpaceX's Starship spacecraft explodes in space, raining debris over Caribbean. Explosion prompts numerous flight diversions. And on to the details now. US President Donald Trump has signed orders significantly expanding the goods exempted from his new tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Trump has announced a 1-month reprieve from 25% tariffs for goods covered under the US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. It is the second time in 2 days that Trump has rolled back his taxes on imports from America's two biggest trade partners. While Trump has postponed tariffs for some products until April 2nd, Canada has indicated that its retaliatory tariffs will remain in place for now, though it delayed a second wave of levies. Trump made no mention of a reprieve for Canada, despite his Commerce Secretary saying a comparable exemption was likely.
I spoke to the President of Mexico, wonderful woman, today, and we helped them out with the problem they were having to do with the tariffs, short-term tariffs. And we had a very good conversation. Also, we discussed drugs, and they've been working much harder lately. Do you notice that? On people coming in and drugs, and we've made tremendous progress on both.
Well, meanwhile, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum thanked her U.S. counterpart Donald Trump for the move, saying that Mexico would not be required to pay tariffs on any goods until that fall under the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement trade deal until April 2nd, when Trump has promised reciprocal tariffs for all countries. Sheinbaum said both countries would continue working together to stem the arrival of the opioid fentanyl from Mexico into the United States.
Many thanks to President Donald Trump. We had an excellent and respectful call in which we agreed that our work and collaboration have yielded unprecedented results while respecting our sovereignties. We will continue to work together, particularly on migration and security issues, which include reducing the illegal crossing of fentanyl into the US as well as weapons into Mexico.
Well, the European Central Bank cut interest rates as expected on Thursday and kept the door ajar to more. Easing for the sixth time since June, the ECB lowered its deposit rate to 2.5% in a nod to slowing inflation and faltering growth, and said that rates were still restricting growth, even if less so than in the past.
The Governing Council today decided to lower the three key ECB interest rates by 25 basis points. In particular, the decision to lower the deposit facility rate, the rate through which we steer the monetary policy stance, is based on our updated assessment of the inflation outlook, the dynamics of underlying inflation, and the strength of monetary policy transmission.
Well, as trade war with the United States is looming, ECB President said threat of such tariff and its potential retaliations are putting a brake on investment, on consumption decisions, on employment, hiring, and the rest of it.
We know that tariffs, and particularly if there is retaliation, are not good at all and are net negative on pretty much all accounts. But that's my personal view. Although I think we around the table of the Governing Council, we all agreed that it was net negative when it happens, and it's even negative before it happens, because the uncertainty that is generated and the undermined confidence that results from just the threat of those tariff increases and potential retaliations are putting a brake on investment, on consumption decisions, on employment, hiring, and all the rest of it.
And to understand this better, DT India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh joins me on this. Well, Shubhendu, given that this is the sixth rate cut since June, what specific economic indicators or trends led the ECB to believe a further easing is still necessary despite the slower pace of rate reductions, and what implications can this have?
Good morning, Lipakshi. Well, simply put, it is an indicator of the kind of economic pressure that Eurozone is reeling through. You mentioned it right. It's the sixth rate cut in about 9 months by the European Central Bank. We have to understand that US President Donald Trump's tariff diplomacy, also his realignment of his geopolitical priorities, have induced significant pressure in global markets, particularly in the West, in Eurozone. There is also the Ukraine war, the pressures of which the whole of Europe has been reeling under. And now, under new geopolitical circumstances, European countries, especially the economic powerhouses like Germany, United Kingdom and France have to step up their defense spending. Actually, all of them, but these countries have to lead. These economic powerhouses have to lead. Now, the pressures of the Trump diplomacy has also induced nervousness amongst the investors. The government bonds have been on a selling spree in Germany, and that sellout has also gone to the UK. Usually, in layperson's term, these government bonds are sold when investors lose confidence in that particular region or the country where the money is invested in. That makes the overall borrowing cost for the investors, for individual and enterprise investors, to borrow money in the country. And that is where the central banks have to come in, reduce rates so that the borrowing can be made easier, whether it is expenditure on the defense infrastructure, whether it is spurring the economic growth, whether it is bringing the inflation target under control. All these elements are controlled by the interest rates. So in that sense, we see that there has been liberal rate cuts from 2.75 in the latest to 2.5% interest rates, and it is expected that this would spur the much needed liquidity and economic growth in the region, which is in the center of global conflicts and also great uncertainty. Remember, the US tariffs from April 2nd are going to be, in a reciprocal manner, be applied on Europe as well. US and Europe as a whole, EU, are significant trading partner, about $1 trillion worth of annual trade, of which there is a trade deficit of about $300 billion against US. If US tries to match that up through its tariffs, there is going to be significant economic pressure and turbulence in Europe.
All right. Also, if you talk about, on the other hand, President Donald Trump has again exempted certain goods from tariffs under the US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. And it is the second time in 2 days that Trump has rolled back his taxes on imports from America's two biggest trade partners. How do we see this?
That's right. American trading partners, although they are at an advantage as of now, as there's some relaxation as far as tariffs are concerned, American tariffs are concerned against Canada and Mexico. But there is a great degree of back and forth right from the day he took office about the tariffs. First, he announces the tariffs and rolls them back, uses it as some sort of an economic, diplomatic hedge. But we have to see that there are more tariffs that are lined up, significant ones on 25% on all steel and aluminium suppliers. We were talking about pressures on Eurozone earlier. Germany, the economic powerhouse of Europe, is one of the significant supplier of steel, and steel in particular to United States. And in that sense, those pressures are also anticipated. Then the reciprocal tariffs that come into being from the 2nd of April, which will in fact include a greater number of nations all across the world, including India. those are certain conditions which are inducing great degree of economic uncertainty. Right now, we also see that the Trump tariff diplomacy is being used as some sort of economic hedge to meet a certain strategic and economic targets that President Trump has. But the overall impact of the tariff announcements has been to induce great degree of turbulence in global markets. Dollar has also lost steam alongside the currencies of the key trading partners, whether it's China, Canada or Mexico. In that sense, we'll have to wait and watch the manner in which the real tariffs, as and when they are imposed, and the impact they're likely to have on these partner countries and global economy as a whole.
All right. Great degree of turbulence indeed there right now. Shubhendu, thank you so much for all those insights. And US-Ukraine talks will be held in Saudi Arabia next week. US President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff said that he is in discussions with Ukraine for a peace agreement framework to end hostilities with Russia, and that a meeting is planned next week with the Ukrainians in Saudi Arabia.
President Zelensky sent a letter to the president. I think the president thought that it was a really good, positive first step, and from that, we're now in discussions to coordinate a meeting with the Ukrainians in Riyadh or even potentially Jeddah. So the city's moving around a little bit, but it will be Saudi Arabia. And I think the idea is to get down a framework for a peace agreement and an initial ceasefire as well.
Well, Trump and Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky had acrimonious talks at the White House on February 28th, but since then the two sides have resumed work on a revenue-sharing minerals deal. At a speech to a joint session of Congress on Tuesday, Trump said he had received a letter from Zelensky in which the Ukrainian leader said he was ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Thursday that he would travel to Saudi Arabia on Monday for a meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ahead of talks later in the week with U.S. officials. Zelensky wrote on the Telegram messaging app that Ukraine is most interested in peace. Well, the British government had struck a deal with the defense tech company to allow Ukrainian armed forces to use more advanced drones in the Black Sea. The inundated handout video and thrill industry showcased the Altius 600 meters and 700 meters drones termed loitering munitions impacting and exploding military tanks. The UK Defence Ministry has announced a significant contract with Anduril UK to supply Ukraine with advanced drones. The contracts, totaling nearly $38.68 million US, will provide Ukraine with drones capable of monitoring an area and striking targets that enter it. This technology is expected to enhance Ukraine's defence capabilities. Meanwhile, UK Chancellor of the Exchequer Rachel Reeves met with UK defence suppliers providing equipment to Ukraine at a Royal Air Force station near London days after signing a loan agreement worth $2.26 billion to support Ukraine's military capabilities. UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves said that as the world is changing, British government will work with Ukraine for as long as it takes.
This government will work with Ukraine for as long as it takes. The world is changing. We can see that all around us. And that's why this government is stepping up to take defence spending to 2.5% of GDP, funded by a reduction in the aid budget. And we've just signed off the extraordinary revenue acceleration loan agreement to be repaid by the profits on sovereign Russian assets to unlock £2.26 billion additional for Ukraine to help them fight this war after Russia's illegal invasion.
Well, the European Council Chief Antonio Costa says the European Union is moving decisively towards strengthening Europe's defence after the bloc's leaders endorsed proposals to massively ramp up military investments.
A defining moment for Europe, for security of Europeans. A month ago, we had a strategic brainstorming to guide our common action on defence. And today, we are delivering, and we are moving decisively towards a strong and more sovereign Europe of defense.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Japan battles worst wildfire in decade, prompting more evacuations. Trump confirms that the US is holding talks with Hamas regarding hostages' release. Residents of South Korean town hit by accidental bombing by its fighter jets.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. And moving on, US President Donald Trump confirmed that the US is having discussions with Hamas regarding Israeli and American hostages still being held. Trump's comments came after his Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff told reporters that direct US discussions with Hamas militants were held in recent days.
We are having discussions with Hamas. We are helping Israel in those discussions because we're talking about Israeli hostages, and we're not doing anything in terms of Hamas. We're not giving cash. We're not giving $6 billion like you hear other administrations give. In fact, I got 59 hostages out, and we gave nothing. In 59, we gave nothing.
Well, the U.S. State Department says that Egypt's plan for Gaza does not meet the demands of President Donald Trump, whose envoy earlier saluted Cairo's efforts but said the details were being reviewed. Arab leaders adopted an Egyptian reconstruction plan for Gaza that would cost $53 billion and avoid displacing Palestinians from the enclave, in contrast to U.S. President Donald Trump's Middle East Riviera vision.
And this is what the world wants. Not only in this conflict, but other conflicts. And no one wins. No one is winning here in this framework. And so, regarding the Arab solution, the Arab deal via Egypt, that what I have for you right now is that it does not meet the expectations.
Well, the U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff said on Thursday that the message to the Palestinian militant group was that the United States wants to get hostages home. Witkoff also said the U.S. does not believe Hamas has been forthright. Witkoff said he will travel to the Middle East next week with stops planned in 4 countries.
We feel that Hamas has not been forthright with us, and it's time for them to be forthright with us. And Eden Alexander would be a very important show. And so we'll see how they're going to react. The president has issued a statement about what's acceptable to him and what's not. And hopefully we'll see some good conduct next week, and I'll be able to go in there and have discussions.
Well, North Korea criticized on Friday annual joint military drills planned by the United States and South Korea, saying they will worsen the situation on the Korean peninsula, state media KCNA said. Well, KCNA said that drills will deteriorate circumstances in the Korean peninsula. Annual South Korean and U.S. military exercises called Freedom Shield are due to begin on Monday, March 10th and run until March 20th. Earlier, Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff said that South Korea and the United States will kick off their annual Freedom Shield military exercise on Monday, March 10th. The joint drills, which will last until March 20th, will strengthen the readiness of the alliance for realistic threats such as North Korea's military strategy and tactics.
By reflecting realistic threats, lessons learned from recent armed conflicts, and evolving challenges such as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's military strategy, tactics, capabilities, as well as its growing partnership with Russia, the ROK-US alliance will further strengthen its readiness, capabilities, and combined defense posture.
Well, residents of the South Korean city of Pocheon on Thursday called for an immediate suspension of all live-fire exercises within their district after several bombs were accidentally dropped by South Korean fighter jets, injuring 15 people and damaging houses in a church in the city. Of the 15 wounded, 2 were seriously hurt, the Gyeonego Bokbu Fire Services said in a statement. South Korea's Air Force, which issued a public apology for the incident, said 8 500-pound Mk-82 bombs from KF-16 jets fell outside the shooting range during joint live fire exercises. And French President Emmanuel Macron is pushing for a stronger European defense strategy, seeking cooperation from other leaders by the end of June 2025. During the European Union's defense summit in Brussels, Macron offered to extend French nuclear deterrence, which sparked interest from other leaders. French President hit back at Russia after the Kremlin warned him not to threaten it with nuclear rhetoric and drew comparisons with Napoleon's failed conquest of Russia. French President Emmanuel Macron is pushing for a stronger European defense strategy, seeking cooperation from other leaders by the end of June 2025. Macron's visit aligns with his previous calls for European military autonomy, aiming to reduce reliance on the US over the next 5 to 10 years.
What I proposed was to open a strategic conversation with the member states that were interested in moving forward on this subject. Several of my colleagues came to see me, and so now we will have a phase where our technicians will speak. We will open a strategic and technical dialogue, which will be followed by talks at the level of heads of the state and government to see by the end of the semester whether there are new cooperations that can emerge.
Well, Japan is battling its largest wildfire in a decade, scorching vast areas and prompting urgent government action. The blaze, which has been raging for several days, has raised concerns about the growing impact of climate change. Palomi Barman has filed this report.
Despite the continuous rain and snow for over 3 days, no respite for Japan's worst wildfire in decades. Firefighters struggle to contain the wildfires in the region. The fire that has been raging for over a week now in the northern city of Ofunato, a coastal region about 400 kilometers north of Tokyo. The blaze that killed one and forced nearly 4,000 to evacuate their homes engulfed around 3,000 hectares of land. It is said to be Japan's largest wildfire in about 50 years after the 1975 wildfire, which burned over 27 hectares of land in Japan's Kushiro district in Hokkaido. Experts think a prolonged dry spell and unreasonably high temperatures over the past 1 year led to this disaster. Rain and snow for continuous 3 days this week was seen as a hope to bring respite to those in the affected areas. But unfortunately, the flames are still raging and authorities are trying their best to douse the flames. Authorities and experts think that a longer dry spell in the last 1 year is the main cause of this disaster. According to the Ofunato municipal government, it has instructed more than 4,500 residents from over 1,900 households to evacuate from the area. Japanese evacuees worry as the fire continues to blaze.
とにかく帰れないからちょっと全然わからないです。
Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba designated the fire a disaster of extreme severity, which would boast central government subsidies for local recovery and reconstruction. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba mentioned that the government will ensure a swift and appropriate response so that the disaster victims can feel at ease and the financial burden on the local government is also minimized. Thousands of firefighters and helicopters have been deployed and the evacuation process is underway. The focus is now on supporting those who are affected by the fire. However, this is a clear reminder of the threats posed by climate change. This is Paulumi Burman reporting from Tokyo for DD India.
And Elon Musk's SpaceX lost contact with its Starship rocket in space on Thursday during its 8th test mission, dooming a satellite deployment demonstration in the company's second consecutive Starship failure this year. Several videos on social media show debris streaking through the dusk skies near South Florida and the Bahamas after Starship's breakup in space, which occurred after a SpaceX live stream of the mission showed it tumbling uncontrollably. The rocket system had lifted off at about 6:30 p.m. ET from SpaceX's sprawling Boca Chica, Texas rocket facilities, with its super heavy first stage booster returning back to land as planned. This is the second time in a row that a test flight has dealt with a major issue in flight. The failure of a SpaceX Starship test flight has prompted numerous flight diversions around Turks and Caicos and ground stops at 4 Florida airports. Well, Elon Musk's SpaceX lost contact with its Starship rocket in space on Thursday during its 8th test mission, doing a satellite deployment demonstration in the company's second consecutive Starship failure this year. Several videos on social media show debris streaking through the dusk skies near South Florida and the Bahamas after Starship's breakup in space, which occurred after a SpaceX live stream of the mission showed it tumbling uncontrollably. The rocket system had lifted off at about 6:30 p.m. ET from SpaceX's sprawling Boca Chica, Texas rocket facilities, with its super heavy first stage booster returning back to land as planned. But a failure in Starship's first attempt to launch since exploding in space in January puts a dent in Musk's development vision as he aims to build a rocket capable of sending bigger batches of satellites to space as well as humans to the moon and Mars. And now some weather updates. Australia is bracing for severe flooding as Cyclone Alfred nears, with a rare storm on the country's eastern coast expected to bring torrential rain, destructive winds and storm surges. The tropical cyclone is now forecast to make landfall early on Saturday. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said that 660 schools in southern Queensland and 280 schools in northern New South Wales were closed on Thursday as weather conditions worsened due to the cyclone. Officials shutter airports, schools and public transport, and residents stockpile supplies in sandbagged homes against flood waters expected when the Category 2 storm hits. Alfred has been called by officials a very rare event for Brisbane, with the city last hit by a cyclone more than a half-century ago in 1974. The city of around 2.7 million had near misses from cyclones in 1990 and into 2019. And moving on, a Chilean court has sentenced 31 Venezuelans and 3 Chileans to prison terms totaling almost 560 years. The defendants were members of the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, which was recently added to the United States list of terrorist organizations.
En total, las penas que se comunicaron.
In total, the sentences handed down today for the 34 convicted add up to more than 500 years, which reflects, shall we say, the importance not only of the accusation but also of the facts that were proven at trial with all the evidence presented by the Public Prosecutor's Office. It doesn't end here. This month, Africa's Public Prosecutor's Office is requesting 12 extradition orders to the United States, Colombia and Peru because the crimes are extremely serious and we want to send out a clear message.
And moving on, Pope Francis on Thursday sent his first audio message since being hospitalized for double pneumonia nearly 3 weeks ago, expressing thanks from the bottom of my heart to well-wishers around the world who have offered their support. People gathered to listen to the message and clapped in unison after listening to it. The brief two-line message recorded by Francis from Rome's Gemelli Hospital was played during a nightly prayer service for the Pope in St. Peter's Square at the Vatican.
Che
I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your prayers for my health from the Square St. Peter's. I accompany you from here. May God bless you and the Virgin protect you. Thank you.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Chilean customs discovered and seized animal skins, fur coats and hats inside a container supposedly holding personal and household items of a Chilean citizen returning from Europe on Thursday. Following the discovery, the San Antonio Regional Custom filed a complaint and the case is now being investigated by the San Antonio Prosecutor's Office. Mexico's National Commissioner of Natural Protected Areas said the monarch butterfly hibernation network area doubled to 1.79 hectares in the 2024-25 season, signaling positive signs for the species after significant population declines in recent decades. The species population has declined by over 85% since 1990s, and as a result, the species was listed as endangered by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature in 2022. Crafts the Canine event kicks off its 2025 edition in Birmingham, highlighting terriers and hounds held over 4 days at the National Exhibition Centre since 1991. The show features various dog competitions and draws thousands of dog owners from across the world to showcase their pet skills and talents.
There's going to be a line of those. Oh, no messing about that time.
And still to come in this edition of DD India News Hour. March 7th marks Jan Aushadhi Divas, making affordable, inclusive healthcare for all possible. India leads AI revolution, empowering startups and innovators for a self-reliant future.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. U.S. President Trump expands exemptions from Canada and Mexico tariffs, second rollback in 2 days on imports from America's two biggest trade partners. European Central Bank cuts interest rates again amid threat of trade war, with U.S. ECB chief notes huge uncertainty ahead. Elon Musk's SpaceX's Starship spacecraft explodes in space, raining debris over Caribbean. Explosion prompts numerous flight diversions. And moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Union Territory of Dadra and Nagar Haveli today. During his visit, Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of several projects to boost infrastructure, economy and employment in the state and adjoining regions. In Silvassa and Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Prime Minister will inaugurate the 450-bed Namo Hospital. From there, he'll go to Saili Stadium to inaugurate and lay foundation for 62 projects. Later, he will also address the gathering. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also reach Silvassa in Dadra and Nagar Haveli on Friday and inaugurate the 450-bed Namo Hospital. The Namo Hospital is a much-awaited project for the Union Territory. The hospital specially has state-of-the-art technologies and operation theatres, and a lot of the devices installed are purely made in India. Here's more.
I'm here at the Namo Hospital, which Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be inaugurating on the 7th of March. And at this hospital, there is one of its kind operation theatre. To talk more on this, we're joined by Rajan Verma. Sir, thank you so much for talking to Didi India. How can you explain to us what are the important, because generally we see that operation theatres are definitely very high tech, but what is the thing that you put in here extra?
The theatre is built up here by MDD Medical. This is a new technology which is solid mineral surface. These theatres are truly modular theatres with nosocomial infection free. The most critical part of the theatre is the sterility. We have a laminar flow system, which is a unique feature of the theatre, with a class 100 specification was there earlier, but now we have came to class 10. Similar theatres were built up with a lower segment in Bilaspur, in Nagpur, and many other aims. But this one is a latest state-of-the-art technology, where we have given data management system, integration system of the part, and then we have a very high-end operation theatre pendants, the lighting system, and the critical aspect of the system is that you can straightway go to the data management and video management system, where you can record the surgery, you can translate the surgery to different other departments in the auditorium, and most important part is that every surgery you can record. Because when you are going in a high-end theatre scenario, you need to build up the system for teaching purpose, for a lot of things. And the purpose of MDD was to build up the theatres based on today's demand. And it is an initiative of Make in India policy. So we try to use maximum equipment which is built up by us in India in Gurgaon factory. And this truly are truly modular operation theatre.
So definitely when we actually hear from Mr. Verma himself that this is a state-of-the-art technology, the operation theatre here at the Namo Hospital, which will not only cater to the students who are studying the medical sciences, but also be very efficient in terms of the surgeries which will be performed here. With my colleague Virendra, this is Meghna Dev, coordinating India from Silvassa.
And for more on this, we have Meghna Dev joining us from Silvassa. Well, Meghna, Prime Minister Modi will be visiting Union Territory of Dadra and Nagar Haveli today. We just saw you at the Namo Hospital. What are the other key projects being inaugurated during Prime Minister Modi's visit to Gujarat and Dadra and Nagar Haveli, and how excited are the local communities about them?
Definitely, Lipakshi, a very important day for the local community here, for the locals at Silvassa, for the locals at Dadra Nagar Haveli. What we definitely saw at the Namo Hospital is that this hospital will not only cater to Silvassa, Dadra Nagar Haveli as a whole, but it will also cater to the nearby areas of Gujarat as well as of Maharashtra, because this place is near to Maharashtra border as well, and also near to Gujarat's Vapi, Navsari and Surat for that matter. So this state-of-the-art technology, as we heard from the people who have deployed the medical devices, the infrastructure there, that this has been sought, this has been created keeping in mind the requirements of the next 5 to 10 years. Now, what we definitely also see is that not only this hospital is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be, inaugurating today, the Medical Institute and Research Center, but besides that also Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be laying foundation stone and inaugurating projects worth over 2,580 crore rupees, which will include a number of Anganwadi centers, water road infrastructure development, sewage infrastructure, besides that health wellness centers and more. So this is definitely going to be important for the local community here, and what we hear from the locals that the road infrastructure, sewage projects, Anganwadi centers, health wellness centers will add up to the already existing infrastructure in this union territory. The Namo Hospital for that matter is definitely one of its kind. We have seen the operation theatre. We were in that orthopedic operation theatre. There are other operation theatres also, about 11 of them that have been created there. So this, all in all, when we say that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting this union territory, it is very, he will also be meeting the beneficiaries of different schemes, like the Silvan Didi scheme, where it is for street vendors, women street vendors, other schemes, the Gir Ajivika scheme. So these are the different schemes wherein he will be meeting the beneficiaries and will be giving them the benefits that have been allocated to them. So not only in terms of the medical sector, but administratively, infrastructurally, as well as from the in terms of the people who are beneficiaries of different governmental schemes. This is a very important visit of the Prime Minister to Dadra and Nagar Haveli.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Meghna, for all those details from there. And moving on, March 7th marks the Jan Aushadhi Day. Under the scheme, Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Kendras with the 15,000 centres across India offer over 2,300 types of medicines. The scheme has benefited many across India. BJP National President JP Nadda congratulated citizens on the special day. The Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi scheme has benefited many families across India. BJP National President JP Nadda congratulated the citizens and hailed the achievements under the scheme.
Under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana (PMBJP) has transformed healthcare with the mantra "Achhi bhi, sasti bhi," ensuring high quality, affordable medicines for all. With over 15,000 Jan Aushadhi Kendras across India, the initiative serves 1 million people daily, offering medicines at 50% to 90% lower prices. This has resulted in 30,000 crore of savings, easing medical expenses of countless families.
And moving on, from creating models in different languages to setting up data labs and building applications across sectors, the Indian AI mission is picking up speed and scale. India is creating an inclusive and innovation-driven ecosystem with major emphasis on open data and affordable access. Take a look.
India is at the forefront of an artificial intelligence revolution, shaping its future with innovation, accessibility and self-reliance. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, AI is no longer confined to big tech companies. It is now empowering students, startups and innovators across the country.
India's massive and diverse data set is driving groundbreaking technical advancements in AI, not just in India, but globally.
AI infrastructure. With the Indian AI mission, the government has allocated 10,300 crore to build one of the world's most advanced AI compute infrastructures. A high-end common computing facility equipped with nearly 19,000 GPUs is making AI research more affordable and accessible. India is also developing its own GPUs, reducing dependence on imports and fostering homegrown innovation. Open data and AI excellence. Data is the foundation of AI and India is ensuring access through the India AI Dataset platform. This initiative provides high-quality, anonymized data sets, fueling AI solutions in agriculture, healthcare and governance. Additionally, AI centers of excellence in key sectors are driving research and application development. AI for India's languages. India is developing its own AI models, including large language models tailored for Indian languages. Digital India Bhashini is breaking language barriers, while Bharat Gen and Sarvam One are revolutionizing public services, content creation, and multilingual AI applications. AI-powered public services. AI is seamlessly integrating with digital public infrastructure, from managing crowds at Mahakumbh 2025 to streamlining financial services. India's AI-driven solutions are setting global benchmarks for efficiency and accessibility. Pragmatic AI regulation approach. India is investing in AI-driven safeguards, funding top universities and IITs to develop solutions for deepfakes, privacy risk and cybersecurity threat. The future of AI in India. With a strong talent pipeline, robust AI investments and a pragmatic regulatory approach, India is on track to becoming a global AI powerhouse. The future is digital and India is leading the way. With input from Tapush Bhattacharya, Triparty Support, TT India.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Minister Petroleum and Natural Gas of India, Hardeep Singh Puri, inaugurated the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board's new office at World Trade Center, Nauroji Nagar, Delhi. The facility features modern meeting spaces and the National Hydrocarbon Infrastructure Management System for real-time monitoring of petroleum and gas transport. Puri lauded PNGRB's technological strides and emphasized regulatory autonomy to enhance governance and strategic planning in India's energy sector. On 6th March 2025, General Upendra Dwivedi, COAS, visited Strike 1 Corps, reviewing operational readiness along the northern borders. At the Capability Development Conference, he urged senior commanders from the three services to embrace innovation and modern warfare strategies. The COAS also witnessed cutting-edge equipment displays addressing security challenges and felicitated personnel for professional excellence. A massive fire broke out at Paradeep fishing port in Odisha's Jagatsinghpur district, destroying 12 boats, including 6 large vessels on Thursday. Firefighters deployed 12 tenders to control the blaze, with no casualties reported. Police from 5 stations ensured safety and order, while senior officials, including ADM Niranjan Bahera, supervised the operation. The exact cause of the fire remains unknown. Minister of Information Broadcasting of India, Ashwini Vaishnaw, launched AI Kosh, an AI compute portal in New Delhi, propelling India's AI mission. AI Kosh offers access to non-personal data sets, while the AI compute portal facilitates affordable GPU and cloud services. Vaishnaw highlighted India's AI milestones, including surpassing 14,000 GPUs, and outlined goals to develop India's GPU and empower 100% plus universities with AI tools. And still to come on DD India News Hour. US dollar struggles near 4-month low amid tariff uncertainty and economic concerns. Trump signs executive order to establish strategic Bitcoin reserve ahead of crypto summit. And Neymar returns to Brazil for World Cup qualifiers after 17 months. Well, Belgium's Princess Astrid led a high-level economic mission to India to shore up bilateral cooperation in key areas, including renewable energy, health and life sciences, and transport and logistics. More in this report by DD India's Shyama Mishra.
Her Royal Highness Princess Astrid of Belgium, on Thursday, on her second day of the Mumbai visit, attended business sessions relating various sectors. She was present for a seminar, India-Belgium Industrial Decarbonization and Global Hydrogen Supply Chains. Matthias de Appendeel, Minister-President of Flanders, while addressing the gathering, said, "In a world of continuous shifting geopolitical scenarios, the nation needs strong and reliable partners." He added the two nations could collaborate on the production and transport of these molecules and innovations trying to overcome technical challenges. An MOU between Nishant Balashanmugam of Green Hydrogen India GH2 and Raphael Tillet, CEO Hydrogen at John Cockerell and board member of Belgium Hydrogen Council, was also signed.
Some of the leadership that Belgium has in the sector, they have various technologies, they have more than 200 companies. Now India is at the beginning of this journey, much like rest of the world, but we have much more potential than anybody else, right? Taiwan, Belgium, they can all have the technologies, but they don't have the market. That's what India can provide. So the goal of this partnership is to first build the bridges, fill the gaps in the industry.
The Princess of Belgium also attended India-Belgium Impact Forum, where she was given a presentation of positive societal impact of a company like CNSQO. Dr. Ilham Kadri gave a presentation on various projects and innovations of collaborations which are impacting Indians. The princess was also present at another seminar, Innovation, Decarbonization and Cost-Saving Strategies Stronger Together, which delved into green steel and its issues. A panel discussion on the ways to move towards sustainability in green steel was organized, which witnessed participation from Prabodha Acharya of JSW, Wim Wangavan of AMNS, and Amita Khurana of Tata Steel. Shama Mishra's report, Mumbai, DD India.
And US President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve a day before meeting with executives from the cryptocurrency industry at the White House. The reserve will be capitalized with Bitcoin owned by the federal government that was forfeited as part of criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings, the White House crypto czar, billionaire David Sachs said in a post on social media platform X. Attendees at Friday's White House Crypto Summit expect the event to serve as a stage for Trump to formally announce his plans to build a strategic reserve containing Bitcoin and 4 other cryptocurrencies. Well, the US dollar wallowed near a 4-month low on Friday as ever-shifting tariff policies fanned uncertainty and increased concern about growth prospects for the world's largest economy, leaving investors grasping for jobs data due to later in the day. Another reprieve of levies aimed at Mexico and Canada announced by US President Donald Trump on Thursday offered little relief. Against the Swiss franc, the dollar dropped to a 3-month low. The greenback also lost some ground against the Canadian dollar and Mexico peso following the announcement. The reprieve expires on April 2nd when Trump said he will impose reciprocal tariffs on all US trading partners. And as part of International Women's Day celebrations, the High Commission of India and Sri Lanka organized a karate session for schoolgirls in Colombo. Organized by the High Commission and Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, the session sought to foster empowerment, confidence and resilience in girls. Karate black belt Ms. Harini Arastharanam conducted the session. This was a part of a series of events which included a yoga session at Sanghamita Mahavidyalaya Gaul and a sports initiative at Hindu Ladies College in Colombo. Well, you're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. Brazil have recalled Santos forward Neymar for this month's World Cup qualifiers against Colombia and Argentina after more than a year. The 33-year-old sustained a knee injury in Brazil's World Cup qualifier against Uruguay in October 2023 and has struggled to secure a spot in the squad. Neymar has won 28 caps and a record 79 goals for his country, surpassing Pele's tally of 77. He was part of Brazil's gold medal winning squad at the 2016 Rio Olympic Games and also helped them finish runners-up to Argentina at the 2021 Copa America. And soccer's governing body FIFA will review a proposal to expand the 2030 World Cup to 64 teams to mark the centenary of the sport's marquee event. The 2030 World Cup will be held in Morocco, Spain and Portugal, with Argentina, Paraguay and Uruguay, where the inaugural edition was staged. Set to host 3 games, the World Cup has already been expanded from 32 to 48 teams for next year's edition in the US, Mexico and Canada. Well, Manchester United drew 1-1 away to Real Sociedad in first leg of their Europa League last 16 tie on Thursday, while Tottenham suffered a 1-0 loss at Dutch side AZ Alkmaar. Joshua Zirkzee drilled in from just outside the area to give United the lead on 57 minutes in San Sebastian, but Mikel Oyarzabal levelled from the spot. Andre Onana made 2 excellent saves to keep United level as Real Sociedad pressed for a winner, leaving the tie evenly poised ahead of next week's second day. Spurs went behind in the 18th minute when Lucas Bergwall put the ball into his own net from a corner and the visitors failed to register a shot on target in the opening half. Tottenham will now look to overturn the deficit back at home in the second leg next Thursday. And England cricket supremo Rob Key said on Thursday that Test captain Ben Stokes has to be on a list of possible replacement for Jos Buttler for white ball cricket. Jos Buttler stood down last week following a poor display by the side at the Champions Trophy 2025 in Pakistan, where his team lost all 3 of their group matches. England have now suffered 10 defeats in 11 white ball fixtures this year. England and Wales Cricket Board Managing Director for Men's Cricket Key is considering his options, which include expanding Stokes' remit. And the Women's Tennis Association announced on Thursday that it will offer players up to 12 months of paid maternity leave and other benefits for the first time. It is one of the part of a sweeping new family benefit program sponsored by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. The WTA said it is the first time that maternity benefits are available to self-employed athletes. More than 320 players are eligible for the benefits, with criteria reliant on competing in a certain number of WTA tournaments in a window of time. The announcement comes amid a broader shift in global sport to support working parents, with high-profile athletes calling for their benefits in the area. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.